Hello Trail Dogs! This time on YouTube's most seldom seen mountain biking channel, we investigate the darker side of mountain biking. Straying away from our self-propelled trail bikes, we expose ourselves to the temptation of full power e-bikes. If power corrupts, then full power corrupts fully. Don't worry though, because we are made of strong stuff and will not give in easily to the temptation of the dark side.
Your arrogance blinds you. Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
Oh dear. My name is Gary. Welcome to One by Bikes. All right then. Yeah, so okay Trail Dogs, as you now no doubt know, we have hired e-bikes for the day. These are GasGas e-bikes with the Yamaha motor. And I don't know if mine is an automatic, I suspect not. It's got two modes. It's got manual, which you operate with your thumb, and it's got automatic, which goes with how fast you're pedaling in it. Right, this is automatic. So, depending on my cadence, depends on the amount of power that the bike is going to give me. And it's really quite intuitive, really. Once you get used to it, it doesn't feel so much like a motorbike. Obviously it is a bike with a motor, but you decide how much or how little of that motor's power you get. So a good way to describe it is, imagine you're cycling along and you get to a downhill stretch. Now you continue pedaling, because although you're going downhill, if you stop pedaling, you'd kind of slow down and, well, you'd slow down. So with this, what you do by pedaling faster is you increase the angle of the hill. So when you're going uphill, which I don't think, are we going uphill just now? I think we are, but only just, more kind of flat. When you get to the uphill sections, you use your gears obviously, and you pedal. And the faster your crank spins, the more power you get from the motor. So you get like a little surge, and it is literally like someone has tipped the hill which you were riding on they've tipped it further downwards, so you're getting more of a kind of a downhill kind of surge sort of thing. That's pretty much what it feels like. So we've had a couple of runs up the hill so far, and as far as an uphill experience is concerned, I mean, it really is. Okay, so here we are. This is a proper uphilly bit. Not proper uphilly, but we're going uphill. You can hear the motor, and it just makes your pedal strokes a lot easier. So what are we doing? 20 kilometers an hour. I think I'm in about the middle of the range. I'm going up here. You right, Soph? Right, if you let the cadence drop, the motor cuts power. So if you're in a high gear and your cadence drops, the motor will cut power. So just like riding a proper bicycle, change gears and the motor kicks back in again, which is good. So you are getting exercise. And I currently have a heart rate monitor on, measuring pulse, etc., calories burned, Garmin smartwatch sort of thing. And I shall put the results up on screen now. There goes Sophie, racing away. It's the only time she beats me uphill. Now, there are people who say that, oh, my heart rate was such and such on my e-bike, so I must be getting the exercise. And I'm going to say to that, that's just a firm no. You're not getting as much exercise. If you're using your own watts to propel you to the top of the hill, you're getting more exercise than someone who's getting watts from a battery. Although, as you can hear, I am breathing. Yeah, these things certainly do make the uphill sections very light work. As Sophie's showing. She never gets up hills this quick. I never get up the hills this quick. So what do you reckon?
Well, I reckon it's a lot easier to cycle uphill. When you got on full assist, nice and easy. If the bike has reset itself to manual, less easy.
Are you still on manual?
No, I've adjusted it again.
Okay.
But yeah, I noticed it down the bottom. So it was doing the same thing again. Yeah, uphill at 20k an hour is alright. It wouldn't happen with just knee power. I can tell you that.
No way. When I was at Glen Tress, a couple went past me on Eves. I tried to keep up with them.
Didn't work.
Nah, not a chance. Yeah, I'm doing 18 Ks. And this is a reasonably steep hill.
Yep, and it's bumpy. Oh, cow smell. Look. Oh, pedal strike.
So I dropped a couple of gears there. I went down a couple of gears. And you just get a surge, which propels you up the hill, which is cool. Alright, let's have a look at the bike then. The bikes we'd hired for the day came from a company called GasGas. Now, GasGas started off in 1985 making trials bikes. Not trail bikes, trials bikes. That's the jumping onto boxes and all that kind of crazy stuff. Danny McCaskill is bicycle trials. Motorcycle trials is the same thing, but with a motorbike. GasGas then moved into the electric motorcycle market, and from the electric motorcycle market, it is a hop, a skip and a jump into the electric mountain bike market. And that's exactly what we had. We had the GasGas ECA1 bikes, retailing for the handsome sum of 57,000 Swedish crowns, or 4,600 euros. But if you do the conversion, if you're buying a bike in Sweden, you are spending an extra 7,000 Swedish crowns, or about 600 euros more. That's a premium, so let's hope that these bikes are premium. Let's have a look at the specs, shall we? Okay then, so the GasGas ECA1 is an all-alloy, full suspension, all-electric mountain bike. It has a head angle of 64 degrees, so fairly slack. It has a seat tube angle of 72 degrees, so that's fairly upright. You're more or less on top of the bottom bracket. The chainstay length is reasonably long. It has 460 millimeters of length in the chainstays. I'll make that work for you. That's about 30 millimeters longer than a normal bike, but that's a normal analog bike. An electric bike is going to need greater chainstay length just to stop it wrapping itself around the back wheel. As said, it's all alloy in its construction, and it has the Yamaha PWX3 motor, which has 85 Newton meters of torque. So fairly decent torque numbers. It's a 720 watt hour battery on 36 volt architecture. That means something when it comes to charging, and I have absolutely no idea, but it comes with a rapid charger at 4 amps. Again, I have no idea. We didn't need to charge them, so we didn't know. Most of the fitments on the bike are GasGas in-house. So the saddle is GasGas, the dropper post is GasGas, the bars are GasGas. The forks are RockShox Domain 170. Now, Domain is not the newest name in the world, and these forks certainly are not the newest thing to come to the market. The shock is a RockShox Super Deluxe Select, giving you 170 mil of rear wheel travel, and the brakes are SRAM's DB8s with centerline 200 millimeter discs. So those are the main hits for the bike. Now let's see how it rides downhill. All set?
Right.
Okay, so downhill. Now, apologies for not doing the most extreme downhill, but last week I had a bit of an off. In fact, it was more than a bit of an off, and I probably should have gone to hospital. But I didn't. Went home and went to work the day after. But this is just to show the downhill capabilities of this bike on a smooth track, because my sides will not take anything rough. Right, initial impressions are, this obviously has its weight a bit different from both my tie and my spindrift, and it seems to be, if those two bikes feel neutral to me, then this feels slightly back heavy. It's stable. It does weigh quite a bit more, but the back doesn't really want to come up off the ground, so I'm having to adjust the attitude of the bike with the bars differently. I mean, obviously, yeah, back does not want to come up. I guess it's one of those things, I'm hiring it for the day. It is a hire bike, and you hear there's some rattles and etc, because nothing handles quite like a hire bike. It does hunker into turns well. Once you get it in, it sits in there really well. And I guess it is just getting used to the weight of it. This, I've not put it on the scale, but I reckon that this has got to be over 20 kilos. So that's a good 5 more than my spindrift, and about 6 or 7 more than my tie. But it's a good bike. It feels balanced. The suspension, while being not of the plushest, it's certainly more than coping with keeping my 85 kilos and the 20 some of this bike in control. I mean, you could say that while I'm not really testing the capabilities on a flow trail, it doesn't feel that bad. What are bad though are these SRAM DB8 brakes. They are woeful. They do not want to stop the bike at all. Right, let's find another trail and see if we can upset the rhythm of this thing. Oh, here's a jump. Alright then, we've taken a flow trail. Let's take something a little more involved, if my ribs can handle it. Oh dear, these brakes again. they really do not give. Mind you, it's normally when we come here, I've got the Magura MT7s, which I like, but others don't. But they're certainly better than these DV8s. Yeah, really having to think about my braking points, and usually, not and usually, and then having to brake twice. But yeah, where this bike is really good is through the corners. That's the brakes for you. Pulled them and nothing. That was nearly a crash. I was saying before I nearly crashed that where this bike really shines, pull brakes properly this time, is through the corners. Because it's the weight, it's kept all low down, it just hunkers down and gets on with it. Ooh, and again the brakes. Could always slow down a bit. Yeah, I don't know whether this might be supposed to be a 2-finger brake. Well, when I got my spin drift, the base specification came with these DB8s, and I'm very glad I upgraded to the MT7s. Very glad. So, if you're thinking about getting an e-bike, that was going to be buying and getting, to be betting. If you're thinking of getting an e-bike, make sure the brakes can stop it. Okay then, Trail Dogs, so final thoughts on e-bikes in general and the GasGas ECA1 in particular. First of all, let's start with e-mountain biking as a thing. Do I get it? Have I gone over to the dark side? In a word, no. I'll tell you for why. I don't mind the pedal up. We're going to release a video in a couple of weeks, just going to call it Scotland, and I think that part of the magic of mountain biking is the pedal up. Now, you might disagree with me, but for a fat git like me in my 50s who likes a beer and who likes a pie or two, if I give in to those temptations, then I've got to do something to pay back. Got to do the pedal up. Sometimes the pedal up is excruciating, but most of the time when we think about it, we're with our friends, we're laughing at their discomfort, we're enjoying the scenery. Hey, you can still enjoy the scenery on an ebe, but when you get to the top of the hill, there's no sense of achievement. It's like, how many times do you high-five each other when you get off a chairlift or out of a gondola? Never. Why? Because you haven't put in the sweat to get to the top. So there is no sense of achievement with an e-bike. You just get to the top of the hill. Is it fun? Yeah. In a way, it is fun because that motion of turning your cranks and getting that push up the backside to help you up the hill, yeah, it's a kick, but it isn't the same as getting up under your own steam. What I will allow is that on that day, Sophie and I didn't use the chairlift at all, and we made it up to the top of the hill quicker than the chairlift, and we got 12 runs in that day. Also, 12 runs up the hill, what's that? It's about 26 kilometers, all uphill, all hard work, and by the end of the day, we drained 2/3 of the battery. So the battery size is fairly decent. It did us all day. It did us all the way up to lunch, and then it did us all of the afternoon. So if you were buying one of those bikes and you were going out to a hillside where you had to pedal up to get the downhill, and then, so basically if you were sessioning, one of those bikes would make absolutely fantastic sense. Have I thought about buying one? You're damn right I have. Will I buy one? Watch this space. Now, words on the GasGas in particular. Would I buy a GasGas? Nah, I wouldn't buy a GasGas. I think for the money, 57,000 krona, I could get a much, much, much better bike. I'm not going to say which bike I would go for, because which bike I would go for is a propane. I didn't say that, did I? I didn't say that I would go for the Acano. But that is probably the bike I would go for. But what I would do with the Acano, and the Acano has the same problem as the GasGas, the stock model comes with the SRAM DB8 brakes. Those brakes are f***ing crap. They are incapable of stopping anything more substantial than a runaway marble. They are easily the worst brakes I have ever tried. So I would probably buy the Acano because it comes with the Zeb on the front and it comes with the Vivid Air, and I would spec better brakes. The GasGas, it does come with its in-house components, and its in-house components I thought were okay. Sophie thought the saddle didn't suit her. Aside from the saddle, and I didn't have a problem with that, the in-house components are fairly decent. The electric motor was fairly good. The battery had longevity. The battery box though, there was a severe rattle on both my bike and Sophie's bike. And I did notice that all of the battery boxes had been taped around to hold them securely. So would I buy a GasGas? No, I wouldn't buy a GasGas. There are probably better bikes out there. If you're after an e-bike, have a look at GasGas by all means, but then go look at the competition. And I think you'll find that GasGas maybe don't offer the best value for money. As for e-biking in general, yeah, I see the point. Would it be good fun? Yeah, it would. And it would certainly give you a longer day on the bike. Am I ready for it just yet? Maybe not. I still enjoy the pedal up. So, that was our review on the GasGas ECA1 and in e-biking in general. All I have to say to you now is that my name is Gary, so you don't have to be. And I think we've managed to steer clear of the dark side.